On this episode, we talk about the return to action for a couple of the Chiefs' prominent injured players. Plus, it may be time to prepare ourselves for some big-time coaching losses this offseason. Welcome back to All Chiefed Up. We're back with another podcast for that ass. Before we get started, if you haven't already and you're a Chiefs fan, hit that subscribe button, click that bell notification, and give this video a like.
You're listening to All Chiefed Up.
The Kansas City Chiefs and Denver Broncos have completed their first practices ahead of their Week 18 tilt at Empower Field at Mile High Stadium. While many Chiefs starters are confirmed to be taking a mini vacation, several players still participated in the first practice session of the week in a limited capacity, didn't participate on Wednesday. This is to keep the players mentally sharp with a long period of rest ahead of the AFC's divisional round of the playoffs. Here's a look at the first injury report for Chiefs versus Broncos. Both DJ Humphries and Chamari Connor were listed as full participants in practice. DJ Humphries has been absent since Week 14, while Connor suffered a concussion in Week 15 against the Browns and has missed the past two games. Cornerback Trent McDuffie with a knee and defensive tackle Mike Pennell hamstring were both limited in practice yesterday. They're dealing with new injuries after not appearing on the injury report at all last week. Wide receiver Nico Remigio with his wrist and defensive back Chris Roland Wallace with a shoulder are both listed with new injuries, but they were also full participants in practice. They're key depth players that will be relied upon in Week 18 versus the Broncos. It was reported by Fox Sports' Jay Glazer over the weekend that anyone who has even a hangnail won't practice or play in the game versus the Broncos. And here's what Andy had to say about the guys practicing.
All right, so as far as the injuries go, Chris Jones, Pacheco, and Jawan Taylor. Jawan just has some issues with his knee soreness, so we're going to hold him for practice today. McCole will practice. He is activated into the 21-day window.
Reid indicated on Monday that Hardman could soon make his return to the field after suffering a knee injury that required some sort of surgery. The team will have until January 22nd to activate McCole Hardman to the 53-man roster, or he'll remain on injured reserve for the postseason. As Reid said, right tackle Jawan Taylor has a lingering knee injury that has limited his practice time on a few occasions this season. He's unlikely to play on Sunday, so sitting him in practice is a good call. Chiefs running back Isaiah Pacheco is still dealing with a rib injury he suffered during Week 17's game against the Steelers. Reid provided an update on Pacheco's injury and his playoff availability on Monday. You can check that out by watching our previous video if you missed it. Chiefs defensive tackle Chris Jones is dealing with a calf injury that he suffered at the end of Week 16's game versus the Texans. He sat during the Week 17 game on Christmas Day. Asked whether Jones would have played this week under different circumstances, Reid indicated that he couldn't be certain of that one way or another. Check it out.
Coach, with Chris and that calf injury, how much of this was that he would be going this week if it was a game that you needed?
Yeah, he's recovering from that. I wouldn't say either way on that, whether he play or not play, but I would tell you that he's recovering from the calf injury. So that's the primary thing. The guys that are banged up, we're trying to get back where they feel okay.
This was even speculated by Dr. Jesse Morse on X. He stated that Jones likely suffered a grade 1 calf strain, and if he were rushed back and re-injured that calf, it would zap his explosiveness for up to 2 months. So no surprise here, Jones will sit into the playoffs. We'll see what the future holds for these guys, but they do have 20 days off before the Chiefs play in the divisional round. Andy Reid also confirmed that backup quarterback Carson Wentz will start in Week 18. Reid told reporters on throwing 2 passes for 20 yards in Week 15 versus the Browns.
Carson is going to visit with you here in a little bit, but he'll end up being the starting quarterback, and then we'll kind of work things from there on who goes and who doesn't go. I mean, you remember last year how the offensive line played and rotated in and out. So those type of things could potentially take place in this one, depending on the positions.
Wentz has a 47, 45, and 1 career record as a starter over his 9-year career. He's completed 2,075 passes for 22,312 yards, 153 touchdowns, and 67 picks. Reid indicated earlier this week that Wentz deserves a starting opportunity in this league, and he'll get a chance to prove it on Sunday against a Broncos team fighting for the playoffs.
You mentioned before that obviously you have a lot of respect and trust for Carson, but getting the week now to sort of see him all the way through, What excites you the most? What makes you eager about seeing him in the offense, given he's had a full year to understand it and sort of mold it to his skill set?
Yeah. Well, I think, first of all, I have a lot of respect for him. I think he's a good football player. I think he's got a good feel for this offense. Whether he's developed it or had some of the stuff prior to coming here, he's got a good feel. And then he deserves an opportunity to get in there and play. And at the same time, it gives Pat time to work on certain things that he'll do during the practices.
So what about the starters at other positions for the Chiefs? While players like Mahomes, Kelsey, and Chris Jones are likely to sit in Week 18, not every starter will have that luxury. Reid addressed how he'll handle other positions besides quarterback, indicating that they'll treat it almost like a preseason game in terms of rotations. He indicated that it could look a lot like last season, especially how they handled their offensive line. In a perfect world, you would rest every starter to give others opportunities, but the roster size simply won't allow that. After practice squad elevations, they'll still have a maximum of 48 game day active players and 55 total players to choose from. That means they'll have to dress some of their starters on Sunday, no matter the situation.
Hey, there's been some speculation from analysts that maybe you could treat Sunday's game similar to a preseason game where you would say have Hollywood Brown or DeAndre Hopkins play a certain amount of time and then obviously sit them in the second half. Given your experience, is that feasible? Is that something that you could even consider given how small roster manipulation you can do in Week 18?
Yeah, well, you get 2 elevations. That's all. So it's hard to do all of that. I mean, the rosters are small now where you got to play guys, and that's how it goes. I mean, if somebody wants to start messing with it, then there's not a whole lot of messing going on. So I'm sure that's for a reason. So guys play. That's how it goes.
As far as potential practice squad elevations, look for third-string quarterback Chris Oladokun and new linebacker Blake Lynch could be getting the call up for Kansas City, but hopefully we see a big dose of our boy Swayze Bozeman versus the Broncos.
The offensive and defensive guys are phenomenal. Tobe does a great job. I know the 2 names that normally come up are the offensive and defensive coordinator. So, but both of those 2 are warrant that. Yeah, for sure.
Dave Tobe has been the special teams coordinator in Kansas City since 2013. He added assistant head coach to his title ahead of the 2018 NFL season. In the few instances where Chiefs head coach Andy Reid has been absent over the years, it's Tobe who has run the show. If you made it this far in the video, drop a foot emoji for Dave Tobe. Yeah, see what I did there? Thanks for liking, subscribing, clicking that bell. We'll catch you next time. Go Chiefs.